Everyone, in front of you that is standing is Mr. Madlala. I'm a life orientation teacher as well as history teacher in the FET phases between grade 10 as well as grade 11. The essence of this video is to give a self-reflection on some of the topics that I've covered, especially in history. I will be focusing on South African War between 1899 up until 1902. The essence of this video is to draw how did the South African War manage to shape the 20th century. Number one, to speak about South African War, it is very much critical and of high significance to note that South Africa did experience colonialism. What was colonialism? Colonialism was a period of settlement in which the European countries extend their powers and conquer the South African and African nations. In 1885 and 1884, there was a Berlin Conference. A Berlin Conference was followed by the Scramble for Africa. What was the Scramble for Africa? The role of the Scramble for Africa was to divide Africa according to colonies. Therefore, British was instructed to take the southern region of Africa in countries such as South Africa, Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe, Zambia, Kenya, Uganda, and some countries in the West Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana. Therefore, in South African context, according to South African context, then there was a fuel of war. There was a spread of war. And then one of the noticeable war began in 1889, 10 years after Britain colonized Africa. This war was a territorial war because it's a battle between the white people, which were the minority, the poor people, versus the black population. If I say the black population, I refer to the colored Indians as well as the African people. Therefore, in these activities, we dwell on the causes of South African War, which began in 1889 up until 1902. In 1910, the Union of South Africa was established. In 1912, the South African Native National Congress was established to fight against the British dominance. The British dominance in a way of forming a sense of nationalism, self-determination, as well as self-pride. Therefore, this class was very much successful because, number one, students were able to cooperate and engage with the content that has been brought forward to them. Number two, they were able to raise their concern as well as their perspectives. Then moving to the progressive phase, moving to the development of the topic, I therefore instructed them to do a quiz, which is an informal assessment. This quiz was aimed at developing their understanding and their narrative when it comes to South African Anglo-Boer War. And most of them, they were managed to represent those questions and to write those questions properly. There were three questions that were formulated in this session. The first question was, define what was colonialism in your own words. Number two, they were asked, when did Anglo-Boer War begin and what was its effects or impact or consequences on African people? And then the third question was based on what was the role of nationalism in South Africa. If speaking about nationalism, speaking about political organizations which were formed to revolt against colonialism or to revolt against white supremacy or to revolt against the British dominance. What are the difficulties that we face? The difficulty is that some of the students, I tend to dwell much on the content, and some of the students were very much lost. But even though I try by all means, in future I will make sure that I will keep my time management from one stage of the lesson to another stage of the lesson. But all in all, this lesson was very much successful given the fact that they were able to cooperate and raise their concerns. Thank you very much.